Hello. Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Thank
So,
you.
I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining. And today's session is going to be a bit intense. I'm giving you prior warning. We're going to talk about the Vedic conception of time. And the information that we have gathered comes from two sources. The Brahma Samhita, which was originally spoken by Lord Brahma at the time of creation, after he gained self-realization. And the second source is the Srimad Bhagavad Puran. So these two scriptures give us the groundwork of what we're going to present today. And it is something which I have to say, it will challenge your concept of time, because the Vedic conception of time is completely different from what we are used to. So get ready for some big numbers, big calculations. I hope you have got some calculators which have lots of zeros on it. Only joking, actually, but to some extent, that is, it's going to be interesting for us to see. So let's make a start. I'm going to begin with the concept of time in the spiritual world. Now, in this world, as we'll see a little later, time destroys everything. Time controls everything. In the spiritual world, time is a servant of God. Time exists, but not in a controlling manner. It's controlled by the Lord. So we're going to talk about and give you a brief idea of the spiritual and material worlds, the differences between them, basically. So we'll start with Devi Dham. I mean, we'll see this in a lot more detail in a minute. But this is, if you like, the world that we live in, the material world, where everything changes. There's death, birth, death, old age, and disease. And there's past, present, and future. Beyond our little world here, and we'll talk about how big this is in a minute as well. In comparison to the spiritual world, this is very tiny. This is a small part of the whole creation of the Lord, less than 1/4. The remainder is the spiritual world. So what is that? That's Mahesh Dham. That's beyond our world, where Lord Shiva resides with his devotees. And beyond that is Vaikuntha Dham, which is where Lord Vishnu resides. There's something called the effulgence of the Lord, the Brahman, which we'll talk about in one of the seminars later on in a lot more detail. And then there's beyond Vaikuntha even, there's a place called Ayodhya, where eternally Lord Ramachandra lives with his associates, Sita Mata especially. And beyond even Ayodhya is a place called Golok Vrindavan. Now, this is, again, as I said, this is from the Brahma Samhita and the Srimad Bhagavad Puran. This is from the scriptures. This is from very highly elevated, highly regarded scriptures. We haven't made this up. It's not something that we haven't got the intelligence to make this up. Now, as I said before, time is controlled in the spiritual world. Hence the internal aspect of time. In the material world, it's different. Now, I wanted to give you an idea of how this material world comes about. Now, again, this is all referenced to the Srimad Bhagavatam and to the Brahma Samhita. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadi Radhir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the Sarva Karanam Karanam, cause of all causes. From him comes Balaram, who is the first expansion, who is as powerful as Krishna, as are all of these These are all considered to be Vishnu Tattva forms of the Lord. One God, many forms. This is the first Chatur Slok, Chatur view. Then there's, from Shankarshan comes Narayan, who lives in Vaikuntha. And then we have the second quadruple expansion. From that second Sankarshan comes Mahavishnu. He's really interesting, this Mahavishnu. There he is. He's lying on the ocean. And when he breathes out, from the pores of his skin, his body, millions of universes come out. We live in one of those universes, but millions come out. When he breathes out, when he breathes in, those universes go back into his body. And the lifespan of his one breath, and this is where this becomes very inconceivable for us. His one breath is equal to 311 trillion, 40 billion years, our years. That's the lifespan, that's the time span of his breath. And that is the lifespan of the universes. Because as soon as he breathes in, all the universes go back into his body. When he breathes out, they all come out again. He is the primary creator. His name is Karanadakshay Vishnu or Mahavishnu. Now, so as you can see, this is an inconceivable amount of time, but this is what is described in our scriptures. Now, what happens when here he is in terms of that Golok chart that you were looking at before. He's here, Mahavishnu, and from him, when he breathes out, universes come out of the pores of his skin. And then we look at one of the universes, our universe. This is one of the universes. There's Mahavishnu there. And in one of the universes, there are 14 planetary systems, for example. We are on Bhur Lok, which is in the middle. Now, I wanted to describe to you that what happens, this Vishnu expands into another Vishnu, that he's called Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So into every single universe, another Vishnu expands. Here he is. He's again lying on the ocean, casual ocean. And from him, a lotus sprouts. On top of the lotus flower is seated Lord Brahma. He is the secondary creation. He's the one with the four heads. Brahma is an ordinary living entity, but extremely powerful. He's been given that power by the Supreme Lord. He's very, very pious, very, very strong. But he is not God. He's an ordinary living entity, but he's got extremely high level of God's qualities. Hence why he is the primary creator. God empowers him to create our world, yeah, the secondary creator. Now his lifespan, Brahma's lifespan, is equal to the universe. So Lord Brahma lives as long as the universe lives, 311 trillion, 40 billion years. Now, in the material world, as we described, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad-Gita, 11th chapter, 32nd verse, time destroys all. Yeah. But one who thinks of Krishna at the time of death attains the Supreme Lord. So time can also be a servant of his devotees. Let's have a look at life of Brahma. And then we're going to bring it down to Kali Yuga. And this is going to take, this is where it's going to be a little complex. So please bear with me. The figures here are huge and the concepts are perhaps a little alien to us. So this is the life of Brahma. 311 trillion years, 311 trillion, 40 billion years. We want to take one day. We'll take a snapshot of one day of Brahma, what it looks like. One day of Brahma is called Kalpa. And it lasts for 4.32 billion years. One day of Lord Brahma, just one day. 12 hours, not even the night, just the daytime, 12 hours. Now, let's split that Kalpa into what's called Manvantaras. These are different incarnations that appear, avatars, Manvantaras. One Manvantara's lifespan, one Manvantara's lifespan is 306 million years. Now, if we split that into the yugas, one yuga. So let's start again. We got life of Brahma, 311 trillion years. One day of Brahma is 4.3 billion years. And in that 4.3 billion years, there's one Manvantara takes place. And one Manvantara is equal to 71 Mahayugs. This is what I wanted to come to, the Mahayug. So we'll have a look at the Mahayug now, this bit here. This maybe people are so familiar with. We have, in one Mahayug, we have 4 different yugs. Satya Yug, Treta Yug, Dwapa Yug, and Kali Yug. Currently, we residing in Kali Yug. Yeah. But there's 71 of these cycles takes place, and we are in one of those cycles at this moment in time. Okay, so let's just this is the day of Brahma. How long is a kalpa? So again, we'll just do it in a different way. Satya Yuga lasts for 1.7 million years. This is all in the scriptures, by the way. We haven't made this up. Treta Yuga lasts for 1.3 million years, roughly. Dwapa Yuga, 864,000 years. And Kali Yuga, where we are living, lasts for 432 years. Altogether, that is equal to 4.32 million years. So, just again, quick revision. Kalpa is 12-hour day of Brahma, which is equal to 4.32 billion. That's 1,000 times more than one cycle, one full Mahayuga. So in one day of Brahma, there are 1,000 of these Mahayugas in one day of Brahma. And he lives for 100 of his years. So, and the reference point for this is in the Bhagavad-Gita. And this is the reference point here. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Ahar Yad Brahmano Vidu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teo Ahoratra Vido Jana. By human calculations, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day. And such also is the duration of his night. So the reference point here is the Bhagavad-Gita as well. So we're bringing in the Bhagavad-Gita. Now, how does that exactly come about to be 1,000 yugas? Because actually, it's a slightly different calculation. There are 14 manus in the 12 days of Brahma. And if we add all the manus, and who are these manus? Let's just go back. Oh no, I haven't described the manus. No, let's not complicate it. Let's not complicate it. Anyway, it equals effectively to 994 Mahayugs, which is 71. That's how many Mahayugs are in one Manvantara. So 71 times 14 is 994. Plus there are 6 Sundias. Sundias are gaps in between the Mahayugs. So that's what makes up the 1,000 yugas. And this is what is described by Krishna, 1,000 yugas, ages. equals 1 day of Brahma. So again, just a very quick revision. Satyayug, Tatrayug, in total, Mahayugs, one Mahayug is equal to 4.32 years, million years. There's 71 of those in one mantra, one Manu's life. And there are 14 Manus in a day of Brahma. So a Manu, like Swayambhur Manu, who is the Manu currently in charge of where we are, the time zone that we're in, he lives for 306 million years. So that gives us a total of 4.29, and then add the 15 Sandias, or 15 Sandias, anyway, Sandias. Yeah, 15, because in between every Mahayug, there's one Sandhya. And there's 14 Mahayugs, so there's a beginning and an end. So that's where the 15 comes from. We come to the total of 4.32 billion years, 1 day of Brahma. Plus 1 night of Brahma, so his 24 hours is 8.6 billion years. His 30 days is 259 billion. His 1 year is equal to 3 trillion 11 billion years. And his whole life, 311 trillion 40 billion years. These figures are humongous, but this is what is described in the scriptures. So this is just repeating a little bit. And I just wanted to come to these figures here, just to give you an idea of, in terms of our time, how long a Mahayug lasts in Brahma's time. 43.2 seconds for Lord Brahma is 1 Mahayug. And one of his seconds, just one of his seconds in Satyalug, where he lives, is equal to 100,000 human years. So this is the inconceivable nature of time, even within our world. What to speak of what time looks like in the spiritual world. So how old is our Brahma? Right? This is a really interesting question. And again, the reference points are the scriptures. Currently, 50 years of Brahma have passed. The last kalpa at the end of the 50th is called Padma Kalpa. This is again in the scriptures. Now we're in the second part of Lord Brahma's life, and we're in the first Mahayug. We are currently in the first day of the 50, not the first Mahayug, first day of Brahma in the 51st year. And it's called Shweta Varaha Kalpa. And within this one day, remember there were 14 Manvantaras, 14 Mahayugs, sorry. 6 have already passed, and this is the 7th Manvantara. Within the Vaishish Vaivasvat Manvantara, 27 Mahayugs have, in one Manvantara, there's 71 Mahayugs. 27 have already passed. We're in the 28th Mahayug right now. Yeah. So if we just go all the way back, let's see what that means. Yeah. There you go. So here we are in this phase. Brahma has finished half of his life, and we are in the first day of his 51st year. And out of that, 27 of these Mahayugs have already passed. So we're in the 28th now. Okay. This Kali Yuga is in the 28th Mahayuga, and it began 3102 BC. Calculating the elapsed time since Brahma's current Brahma's creation. So far in the life of this universe, this amount of time has passed. 155 trillion 500 21 billion years. And the time currently, right now, in Brahmalok is 11:28 in this one day of Brahma. And we've worked that out through the calculations given in the scriptures. And here is the reference point in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 11th chapter, 34th verse.
Yet Adam ayushastasya paradam abiti yate purva parado prakranto hiya parodya pravatate. Translation: the 100 years of Brahma's life are divided into two parts, the first half and the second half. The first half of the duration of Brahma's life is already over, and the second half is now current.
Okay. So again, just a very brief revision. 311 trillion years, half of his life is past, 6 manvantaras have passed out of the 14, and 7 Sundias have passed. We're in the 27 Mahayugas have passed. We're in the 28th Mahayuga, of which Satya, Tet, and Dwapar have completed. So we're in the Kali Yuga right now.
This is the age of Kali Yuga.
This is the age of Kali Yuga. And the time is 11:28 in the morning, just coming up to noon time for Lord Brahma. And remember, 1 second of his is equal to 100,000 years. So it's a long period of time. And this is just giving that as an idea. 1 Mahayuga, Satyayuga lasts the longest. People's lifespan are very long at that time. 100,000 years is the average lifespan of a human being. And the mode of meditation or becoming close to God is meditation. Because meditation. Because people are peaceful at that time, at that age, in that age, and they can meditate for long periods without being affected by hunger and sleep. In Treta Yuga, the lifespan reduces to a tenth, which is 10,000 years. And there people are generally very wealthy, and they do amazing fire sacrifices, yagyas, in order to become close to God. Dwapar Yuga, it's half of
a tenth.
Yeah, half of Satya Yuga, and the lifespan reduces down to a tenth again, so 1,000 years. And then the modus apparatus of worship of the Lord is opulent deity worship, beautiful deity worship of the Lord. Kali Yuga is half of Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga, our lifespan is, even if we get to 100, we'll be considered very fortunate, or perhaps unfortunate if health doesn't stay good. So in Kali Yuga, meditation doesn't apply, yagyas doesn't apply, and deity worship is there, but the focus on Kali Yuga is the holy names of the Lord. That is the religion. Yeah, that is what is given in the scriptures, that we can do bhajan kirtan and become very, very close to God. So God has reduced the standard. In Kali Yuga, we can do simply chanting of holy names and attain what they had to do in Kali and Satya Yuga for 100,000 years. We can do it very easily in Kali Yuga in a few years. That's the blessing of Kali Yuga. Although it's a crazy age, there is a good aspect to it, a very good aspect to it. Right. In terms of timelines of how this fits into compared to the other religions or
where they originated.
This is where they originated. So do you want to talk to this?
So if you look at it, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, mainly in the Middle East, around Bethlehem and Jerusalem, places like that, Mecca. So it's all in the Middle Eastern area. Whereas Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism, Sikhism, Jainism, and Buddhism, they all originated in Bharat, in India. So these are the main 7 religions of the world that we've identified. There's lots of other variations as well. And then if you look at the timeline for each religion, Sanatan Dharma is approximately, well, it's more than 5,000 years.
It's way beyond.
Way
5,000.
beyond. But if you look at the written concept, it's 5,000 years. That's when Vyasadeva actually started writing all the way that's down. And then next is Judaism, which is 2,586 years ago. Then comes Jainism, 2,500 years ago. And Buddhism, 2,483 years ago. And then Christianity, which is 2,000 years ago, or just over 2,000 years. I'm just rounded these numbers up a little bit. And then Islam, 1,400 years ago. And the youngest is Sikhism, which is 600 years old.
Although Sikhism is very much part of Sanatan Dharma, it's more like the
Warrior
the military.
aspect.
Yeah, military. They did a phenomenal, or they're still doing a phenomenal job of protection.
And also Jainism, if you look at it also, I came from Rishabdev, who was an incarnation of Lord Krishna. And that's where it's come from. But
Same as Buddhism.
yeah. And if you look at the scriptures of these major 7 religions, for Sanatan Dharma, we've already looked at that last week, or looked at all the Vedas and everything. For Judaism, it's called the Tanakh, or the which contains the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Kethuim. For Jainism, they call the Agamas. For Buddhism, it's called Tripitaka. Christianity, you have the Bible, which is the Old Testament and New Testament. For Islam, it's the Quran. For Sikhism, it's the Guru Granth. But if you look at it, most of the other religions only have one main text which they follow. With Sanatan Dharma, you have lots. So there's no comparison.
So this gives a flavor of the concept of time within Vedic philosophy. It is inconceivable, and I remember when I came across this like 40 odd years ago, 35 years ago.
It blows your mind.
Yeah, it does blow your mind, and it's taken some time to absorb it, and going through the scriptures a few times, again and again, and also listening to the pravachans by the acharyas. It sort of has now sunk in, and it is, I would say, very difficult to understand. However, what it does is it gives you the understanding that we are very tiny little specks within the whole concept of not just the spiritual world, but even within this material world. We are very tiny, but we are thinking we are the center of the universe. Nothing works without us. So what this does, it gives you a proportion, or puts it into perspective. Our role in this world is tiny, very, very tiny. So we shouldn't think too highly of ourselves. It doesn't mean we depreciate ourselves. No, it means we do our very, very best, but with the understanding that there has to be some humility with which we work. And that humility is our strength, and will allow us to serve the Lord in the proper way, in the proper context. Not that, hey, my Lord, I'll do it. I'm there for you. No, he's there for us. And yes, we are requesting him, please, let me engage in your seva, whatever you like me to do. Once we get connected to the Supreme Lord, then the concept of time in this material world may not apply to us, because then we become under the protection of the Supreme. And then he takes over. And in the spiritual world, as we've explained, time doesn't control the spiritual world. The Lord controls time. Whereas in the material world, time controls us. We're subject to birth, death, old age, disease. when we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, then the Atma, the soul, the supreme, the spiritual, eternal soul connects with the Supreme Soul. And that's why it comes under the protection of the Supreme Soul. And then time has a different conception. So I wanted to stop there. And I do understand that what I've given you is everything. Right? I have not left anything out. I haven't sort of diluted anything. I've given it as it is. With of course the danger that you might be thinking, wait a sec, is impossible. Well, you might think it is, but our minds are very tiny. How much can we absorb? Okay, anybody like to ask any questions?
Okay. We have Ishwar and Kishori.
Yes.
You're going to start off with your question. And let's see if others join in, then we might have to stop your questions and go to others before we come back to you.
How long is the Lord's breath in?
It's the same as his breath out.
Why does he breathe in so long?
That's our concept. That's the timeline is what we are under.
Yeah,
It's the material.
Why does he breathe so long? For him, it's not long.
It's not. It's the same as you breathing in and out.
Yeah.
It's the same concept for him. But if you look at the timeline, then
for us, it's huge.
Yeah.
It shows, there's one religion which says God is great. Yes, we know he's great. This gives a little glimpse of how great he is. And he is only an incarnation of an incarnation of an incarnation of an incarnation of Krishna. Anything else, Ishwari?
How many centuries until Kali Yuga ends?
So the whole cycle is 432,000 years for Kali Yuga. We've only come about just over 5,000 years so far, 5,110 years. So we've still got 420, nearly 427,000 years left in Kali Yuga. But we are very, very, very fortunate. Why do I say that? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just left 500 odd years ago. And it is considered that this time is very auspicious to be in Kali Yuga, because the impact of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is still very strong in terms of us getting God realized simply by chanting the holy names.
What happens during the Sundias?
Oh, Sundias, basically, it's a partial devastation. So Lord Brahma has to, very good question. I am so impressed. You've been really paying attention. So thank you so much. Usually what happens during the Sundias is there's either a partial devastation. So our world gets destroyed and Lord Brahma recreates that. So it's a little bit of a resting time. It's a little bit of devastation time. And then Brahma starts creating again this from our world downwards.
Is all of the Vedic knowledge written in Sanskrit?
Yes, pretty much. I think it's all of it is. Yes, it will be.
Has it ever been like made in different languages so other countries can read it as well?
Only by the grace of like saints like Prabhupada, who have translated the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-Gita into English, and other saints as well. But it's thanks to them that it is translated into pretty much almost all the languages in the world. And the saints are instruments of the Lord. So what they write is what the Lord has explained in the first place. Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. And just a couple of questions on this, on the chat. Will we get the PDF? Yes, I will share the PDF. you can work through the calculations.
Okay, Riansh, would you like to unmute and ask a question?
Yes, Hare Krishna. I had the doubt that Brahma is also in this material world, and the whole material world devastates when the devastation comes. So does Mahesh Ram also is destroyed by the devastation?
No, Maheshtam is beyond this material world. It doesn't get destroyed. Let's have a quick look. Where are you? So Maheshtam. If we see, this is a Golok chart. It's done by some amazing people. Maheshtam
It's just outside the
is
realm
outside.
of the
Yeah.
material world.
Yeah. And yeah, that's correct. So, and if actually this chart is slightly wrong in the sense that it's difficult to, this material world is in the corner, in the northeast corner of Vaikuntha, round about here. But of course, we are showing it to be huge because otherwise it's very difficult to visualize. But actually the material world is a very tiny speck of the material of the spiritual world here. And just here is Shambhu, the Supreme Lord, who is Vishnu Tattva, from whom expands Lord Shiva, just here. So actually Lord Shiva is Sri Krishna's expansion directly. But when he gets in touch with this world, our world, he becomes from Shambhu, he becomes Shiva. So that's the difference. But good question, Riansh. Thank you for asking.
And Prabhuji, my other doubt is that like when the devastation comes, the Brahmas also change, right?
Yes. What happens to Lord Brahma at the time of devastation? If he is a devotee of God, and we are very fortunate, the Brahma that is presiding over our time is a devotee of the Lord. He will go back to the spiritual world. Together with everybody in Satyalok, they will all go back to the spiritual world. But the devastation affects Brahma as well. If he's not a devotee,
He goes to the cycle again.
goes to the cycle, keeps going through the cycle. Thank you, Riansh. Preeti?
Preeti?
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti.
So my question was, do you know if other schools of thoughts, scriptures say differently regarding conception of time?
I've gone through like some of the Puranas, because every Purana will have an discussion on the creation and destruction, and they're quite consistent. They're quite consistent in these time frames, but I haven't gone through in so much detail to make sure all the I's and T's are crossed and the I's dotted. But as far as I understand, the Puranas reflect exactly what we've discussed today.
Okay. And so if you feel that there is a difference, have you read anywhere why there's a difference in time amongst the different schools?
No, not within Sanatan Dharma. Not within Sanatan Dharma.
Okay.
I haven't come across. Have you come across any other concepts of time within Sanatan Dharma? No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Jahnavi.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question regarding like partial devastation. It's a resting time. That means nothing will be evolved during that time, or still we can proceed doing prayers to the Lord.
So what happens at the time of a partial devastation? Is that what your question is?
Yeah.
So what happens to living entities is they are in limbo at that time. It means that they effectively are asleep. So there won't be an opportunity to meditate. The meditation opportunity comes when we are conscious. But when the devastation takes place, there's no chance of being conscious. We're asleep. We're put to sleep because that time is devastating for us. So we'll just be sleeping, just be resting. As soon as we're allowed to be out again, we'll continue with where we left off, basically.
So at partial or full devastation, all the jivas who's still in the material world, they go back into Vishnu.
Yeah. This question, sorry, I hope that answered your question. Somebody said, thank you. I believe this is PG. I believe sorry?
I missed last week class, and I need every week class material, like recording stuff. So how can I get, Guruji?
Yes, are you on the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I do have. Yeah, I'm
posting it on the WhatsApp group. You will see it there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just put your number on the chat for us, and we'll just double check that you are on this WhatsApp group for this session.
Oh, and
thank you.
Pali, maybe on the chat you can put down the link so that devotees can slowly join. Thank you, Pali. Oh, make pretty. Yeah. So question is, Kali Yuga will end soon as time is accelerated. Very, very, very good point. My Guru Maharaj actually said that it's not that time is accelerated, but the sins of Kali Yuga are so bad, especially what is happening to Gomata and how children are being abused and ladies are being abused. So Kali Yuga is eating its life quickly. So he did explain that to us, that this Kali Yuga, we may see Kalki avatar appear sooner than 427,000 years time. So that is a very interesting point that you do make. So sometimes when the sins are so bad, already Kali Yuga has eaten all its piety, if you like, then it may be that Kali Yuga ends sooner. That is a possibility. That is definitely something. My Guru Maharaj was very clear on that. So very good point. Let's take a question. Veda?
If in the 7 major religions, is there Hinduism our religion?
It is, but we actually Hinduism doesn't exist as a word. Nowhere in our holy books is Hinduism or Hindu mentioned. This is a name given to us by foreign invaders a few centuries ago. So actually the name of this religion is called Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means eternal, Dharma means a way of life, principled way of life. So duty, like that, many things it means. So, but you can, for ease of reference, you can call it Hinduism, because if you say Sanatan Dharma, people will be wondering, who are you, why you are on about. But Sanatan Dharma and Hinduism, you could say they are one and the same thing, but the actual name is not Hinduism, okay? It's Sanatan Dharma.
And does the Sanatan Dharma have the most scriptures?
Yes, yes. You saw that list at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's a good flavor of what Sanatan Dharma is. Yes, Ashwin Bhai.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna, Ashwin Bhai.
Amazing, very, very informative today. Really learned amazing things that I never knew about Sanatan Dharma.
Yes,
the question I have is, since childhood, we've been told to be goodies in order that we come back after reincarnation as humans. The belief or the kind of threat that was imposed was you will go through a life, if you've been ready, of different forms. And was it something like millions of lives in a cycle that you would have to go through before you become a human again?
Very good point.
How true, if that is, in terms of explaining reincarnation to somebody?
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's 8.6 million species of life.
Yeah.
And it is said that to reach the human stage, we've probably been through each one of those. Finally, we've made it.
Maybe a few times.
Maybe many times. We've made it to the human form of life. Now, the question is, what do we do in this life? You're absolutely right. Our teaching is be good human beings so that you come back as a human being. But actually, that's not the purpose. Because if that's all we do, then if we're only going to be good, it's not enough. It's good. No, we're not going to recommend be bad. But it's not enough. Because being good means we still got to enjoy good karma. We're going to enjoy the fruits of our good karma. So the idea is that what we want to do is perform those activities which have no reaction, neither good or bad. Because if there's a good reaction, it means we're gonna go to heaven. Let me just point out heaven here. And when our good karma is exhausted, the bank account of the good karma is finished, we're back onto earth again. So what's the point of that? So the idea of having human form of life is to become self-realized and attain the spiritual world beyond this material world and into the spiritual sky. That's where we want to go. How do we do that? By performing bhakti, acts which are not going to be regarded as karmic reaction acts. So neither good, neither bad. What are those acts? When they're in relation to the Supreme and they're classified as bhakti in connection with the Supreme, those acts do not have a material impact. And I'll give you an example. We want to go and feed somebody, right? Very good activity, feeding the poor. Who wants to see somebody hungry? No one, right? If you've got a heart, you will not want to see anybody hungry. We give food, fantastic act. If that's the only thing we do in our whole life, we'll go to heaven. Big deal, because we're going to come back to earth again at some point when our good karma is finished. Why not, instead of giving that person food, you give them prasad? Often we see beggars on the street. We can buy some fruit. It's not fair to even call them beggars, people who are needy. We buy food, we offer that food, we offer the fruit, mainly we buy fruit. My dear Lord, please accept this fruit. And that becomes prasad. And we say also additional prayer. My dear Lord, I'd like to give this prasad to this person. Please give them the opportunity to come close to you. We're giving prasad. Now that act is not good or bad. It's spiritual act. That's the only thing we do in our life, we will go back to the spiritual world because we've connected ourselves with God. So that's the difference between same act. You're giving food, same act. But the second way of giving food, we are not becoming bound to this world, even in a good way. Whether we have a gold chain or an iron chain, it's still a chain. Does that make sense, Shumbai?
Yes. Except that I don't know what the bliss looks like right at the top there. I know what it is like on earth. So I'm not quite sure whether I would like going up second level or stay where I am.
One of our sessions.
I think what the God should organize is visits that we could have.
He does a day trip through the scriptures, through the eyes of the scriptures. And
or through paintings, because again, paintings are windows to the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. There was a
Thank you.
question.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. There was a question about Ayodhya. I just saw a glimpse of that question. Yes, Ayodhya is regarded to be even beyond Vaikuntha. Although this is all the spiritual world, all of these places are fantastic. But Ayodhya is even beyond Vaikuntha because the relationship of the Lord and his devotees is so close. And even beyond Ayodhya is somewhere called Jagannath Puri, Dwarka, Mathura. And ultimately, Golok Vrindavan is regarded to be the highest, even within the spiritual realm.
And this Ayodhya in the spiritual world is reflected in the Ayodhya in Bharatvarsh, which you see. So it's a reflection. It's so that realm is brought down here to show us a glimpse of what actual Ayodhya is like in the spiritual world. Similarly, all the other dhams as well, like Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri, Dwarka, they're all brought down here for us to get a glimpse of what the realm is like in the spiritual world.
Great, good answer.
Yeah.
So
I've not been to any of these yatra places, but I get that they are in real difficulties in terms of cleanliness and things like that.
If we look with those eyes, then definitely. But we have to have a different pair of goggles on at that time, because yes, there is definitely the uncleanliness, but we have to see beyond that, and we see the spiritual atmosphere of those places, and that's extraordinary. And just a quick plug, we're actually doing nearly a 6-week tour of different places holy places in India, in Bharat, on the 22nd of August until the 29th of September. If anybody's interested, let us know. And we're going to check out an Ayurvedic farm in Gujarat for about 10-12 days, naturopathy. And secondly, we're going to go to Mayapur, which is really extraordinary. And then Vrindavan for about 10 days. And Haridwar, yeah. Now, I wanted everybody to log in.
Okay, Priti, you have a question?
Yeah, before you ask, if you log in to, she's put it on the chat very kindly, Pari. It's
for the quiz.
Quiz is QUIZIZZ.com. And there will be a password, which, what is the password?
Sorry, it's 132540.
132540. So everybody can join, and Pari will also share her screen. So we are also watching it live as well.
Okay, Priti, go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Okay, so I had this thought that came. Ramayan, in Ramayana, there's the Ram Setu. Now, science says it was done like recently, maybe even 10,000 years ago. It's around that, just giving a round figure. But according to scripture, Sri Ram was around in Tetrayug, which was like over 2 million years ago. So how can we explain that?
Yeah,
yeah, because the scientists are looking through the material eyes, not through the eyes of the scriptures.
And how do they put a timeline on it? How do we trust their timeline? I would rather trust the timeline of the scriptures.
Because their timeline changes depending on their theories. Whereas the timeline in the scriptures is never changed. It's always the same.
So we have 22 people in this quiz already? Wow. Anybody to join? Are we waiting for anybody to join? Has everybody joined? 24 people, I'm impressed.
And also someone also asked if we can, sorry, just go to that. Will we get the PDF?
Yeah.
All the numbers, we'll do that.
And it will be printable as well.
And you can print those off as well.
There's no copyright. Okay, so I think we can start. Yeah. Anybody waiting? Nobody waiting. Huh? Okay. Okay, Pari. Pari, I'd like to thank you in advance. And
No problem, Prabhuji. Okay, so this is just the part 2 from last week. And wow, 25 people. What do the Upanishads start to explain? We must renounce worldly attachments to surrender to God, historical meaning of the mantras, compositions of the mantras, or the 4 Vedas. Five seconds. Okay. What does Upanishad literally mean? To be determined, to sit down, to sit near to or below the feet of a teacher with determination, or to surrender. Majority are correct. Just 2 people left to answer. 1 person. And the time's up. How many Upanishads are there in total? 11, 200, 108, or 100?
Good questions.
In total.
In total, that's a hint. Mind you, if you say 108, you're not wrong.
So it was actually 200.
Because there's
in
some
total.
minor Upanishads as well. Yeah. Trick question.
Out of all Upanishads, how many are considered to be topmost? 108, 50, 22, or 11? The topmost. Ooh, very close. Very close between the first and the last one. Time up. So it was actually 11. Those are the topmost. Okay. In the Upavedas, what does Artha Veda focus on? Economics and sociology, defense, war and politics, music and dance, or medical science?
Yes.
First one has the most answers.
Very good.
That's right. So economics and sociology were the correct answers. What does Dhanurveda focus on? Arts, dancing and singing, medical sciences, politics, war and defense, or economics and sociology? Ten seconds. Ooh, majority again. Very correct. What does Gandharva Veda mainly focus on? Medical science, singing, music and dancing, economics and sociology, or war, defense and politics? So 2 of them are gone. Hopefully this one is an easy question. Yes.
Wow.
Very good. Well done. 3 seconds and 2 people left. Oh. Okay. What does the word Vedangas literally translate to? Subcategories of the Vedas, the most important of the Vedas, the limbs of the Vedas, or the meaning of the actual Vedas. The actual literal translation of Vedangas. Five seconds. And the third answer was correct. And majority of you got that. Like the 6 limbs, the Vedangas consist of 6 categories, one of which is known as Vyakarna. What does this mean? Explanations, astrology, proper application, or grammar?
That's a tough question.
Vyakaran or Vyakarna. So I think many people who may speak Hindi might know this. Oh, wow.
Amazing. Good.
Not so many people got that right.
Brilliant.
Wow. What does Siksha mean? Astrology, pronunciation, the meter or tempo, or the explanations? Equal between pronunciation and tempo. Okay. So it was actually pronunciation.
Really?
Yeah.
Because Siksha usually is explanation. Anyway, it's fair enough.
In the slide.
Okay.
The 18 Mahapuranas are divided into 3 groups. What are they? Goodness, passion, and ignorance, generosity, passion, and inertia, goodness, attachment, and laziness, or kindness, anger, and ignorance. I had to search up so many synonyms for this one. Oh, yep. So the first answer was correct. Well done. Who was the Mahabharata written by? So just a bit of a knowledge check. Sri Krishna, Arjuna, Srila Vyasadeva, or Sanjaya? Who was it written or composed by? Okay. Everyone knows their stuff. Very correct. It was Srila Vyasadeva. So what do the Itihasas help us do? Help us learn how to defeat our enemies, explain the rituals of the Vedas, explain the philosophy of the Vedanta Sutras, or all of the above. There are 2 answers for this one. Just a hint. Five seconds. Yeah. So it was actually the 2 in the middle. Are the Puranas meant for all classes of people? Yes or no? 2 people said no. Prabhuji, one of them is you, isn't it?
No, I'm not in there today. I'm a bit out of it. Last question.
So The Bhagavad Purana is in the mode of,
Mm.
and you type your answer.
Ah, excellent. Oh, well done.
Sorry, Prabhuji?
Oh, me? Oh,
I didn't hear you.
pure goodness, right? Pure.
Oh.
Well, yes, you got it there. You got it there. Oh, okay. These are the answers. Yes. So how do you correct them? How do you know which?
Oh, so it tells you by yourself if you got it correct or not.
Pure goodness. Yeah. Oh, well done. I'm impressed.
It is actually, so it is pure goodness, but on the slide it said goodness, so I didn't want to confuse anyone.
Sure. No, goodness is fine as well. Goodness is fine as well.
So the answer
Pure
is
goodness,
actually,
goodness. Yeah, it's fine.
yeah.
Very good. Very good. So let's see the leadership. Who won it?
Yes.
I put pure goodness and I got marked down.
Don't worry. Ignore it. You got it right, Ishwari.
Well, you spot on though. Well done, Ishwari.
Don't worry. At least you know you're right. So in third place we have Preeti. In second we have Nikhilesh, and the first we have PG.
Who's PG, by the way?
Might be initials. I'm not sure who that is. But well done to everyone.
Really good. Akasha is there as well. Hey, where are you? Ishwari Kishori.
They're 11th.
Oh, come.
That was from 5th and 6th.
Oh, okay. Well done. Very good. Thank you, everybody. Hope I didn't blow any minds with this presentation.
Sorry, everyone.
But thank you, Pali. That was really good. You're welcome. It's very good quiz. And look forward to next week's as well. It's going to be interesting quiz next week.
Yeah, thank you, Babaji.
I wanted to ask if I wanted to see if how many people are there still. If you can stop sharing, that'd be good. I wanted to take a quick photo, if everybody is able to, apart from the children, reveal their photos. That'd be good. Reveal themselves. Everybody can reveal themselves, if that's possible, and we can take a quick. Actually, let's take a photo in a different way. Just sorry.
Babaji, actually, I have to go now.
Yeah, you go. Thank you, and thank you very much. You did a phenomenal job.
Thank you. If anyone has any feedback, please feel free to put it in the group chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Bye, Babaji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
Kishore, nice to see you, Kishore. Fantastic. Anybody else like to put the camera on? Now, there are some virtual background. How do you do that? I forgot how to do that now. Anybody else? No, everybody's put it on. So I can't really take a picture because so many blanks are there. Maybe we'll try it next week. We will try next week. Thank you, everybody. And look forward to seeing you all next week. We'll post the video. We'll post the